When we talk about the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we often start with their struggles. But with Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anh, you have to start with his comfort. He belonged to Banu Abdul Dar. It was a small tribe of the Quraysh, but they were one of the most elite. This tribe held a lot of wealth, and Mus'ab was one of the richest among them. He wore the finest silk brought all the way from Yemen, and he wore this specific expensive perfume that was so potent and unique that people in the marketplace would know that Mus'ab had passed through the streets just by the scent lingering in the air. He was pampered, he was eloquent, and he had every door in Makkah open to him. Moreover, he resembled the Prophet ﷺ so much so that in the Battle of Uhud, they could mistake the Prophet and Mus'ab radiallahu anh. When the Prophet started talking about Islam in Darul Arqam, Mus'ab heard about it too. And he started sneaking out of his luxury to sit in these secret circles. When he finally accepted Islam, he kept it a secret too. However, the secret didn't last. He gets caught by a man named Uthman ibn Talha, who is famous for being the person who the Prophet ﷺ gave the keys of the Kaaba to at the time of conquest of Makkah. He saw Mus'ab secretly praying and immediately went to tell his mother, Khunnas bint Malik. Now, his mother was a formidable woman. Despite being furious at him, she couldn't just beat him because of her love for him. So she tells him that she will imprison him. She tried to starve the faith out of him. She took away his luxury, his fine clothes, his inheritance, and imprisoned him in one of the rooms of their home. Eventually, Mus'ab radiallahu anh managed to escape and join the first migration to Abyssinia. When he returned to Makkah much later, the transformation was jarring. The boy who grew up in wealth and luxury, who was pampered and loved, was gone. His skin, once soft and cared for, was now dry and peeling. He was wearing a rough, patched-up garment made out of animal skin. There is this powerful narration that when the Prophet ﷺ saw Mus'ab radiallahu anh in this state, he began to cry. He looked at his companions and said, "Look at this man whom Allah has illuminated his heart. I saw him when his parents provided him with the best food and drink, and I saw him in a garment of silk. Then the love of Allah and His Messenger led him to what you see." The most pivotal moment in Mus'ab's life and arguably in the history of Islam came after the first pledge of Aqaba. The people of Yathrib, the modern-day Madinah, needed a teacher. They needed someone who could explain the Quran and the character of the Prophet to a city that was torn apart by tribal wars between the Aus and the Khazraj. The Prophet chose Mus'ab radiallahu anh, and it was strategic. Mus'ab was not a famous warrior known for his sword. He was chosen for his emotional intelligence and gentleness. He became the first ambassador of Islam. When he arrived in Medina, he stayed with Asad ibn Zurara. There's this famous incident when Sa'd ibn Muaz approached him with a spear in his hand and shouting at him to leave the city. Mus'ab radiallahu anh looked at him with the spear in his hand and said, "Why don't you sit and listen? If you find what I say good, you can accept it. If you dislike it, we will stop and I will leave you alone." By the time he finished reciting the Quran, Sa'd ibn Muaz took his shahada. He went back and called his tribe, and they began to enter Islam one after another. Within a year, Mus'ab had talked to almost all the households in Medina. He prepared the ground so effectively that by the time the Hijrah finally happened, the Prophet ﷺ didn't enter a hostile city. Rather, he entered a community that was waiting for him. Now, we fast forward to the Battle of Uhud in the year 3 after Hijrah. He was given the responsibility and the honor of being the standard bearer for the Muhajirun. So he was the one holding the flag of Islam in the battle. In the chaos of the battle, when Muslim lines began to break, Mus'ab stood his ground. He physically resembled the Prophet, as we mentioned earlier, so the enemy targeted him thinking that they were attacking the Prophet himself. The accounts of his final moments are visceral. An attacker severed his right hand. Mus'ab grabbed the flag with his left hand. His left hand was severed. He huddled over the flag, bent down and picked it up with his teeth, not letting the banner fall to the ground until finally he was struck down by a spear. He was martyred protecting the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the message he had spent the last decade of his life building. After the battle, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went through the martyrs. When he reached Mus'ab radiallahu anhu, the scene was a stark reminder of the sacrifice he had made. The man who wore the most expensive clothes in Arabia didn't have enough fabric to cover his body for burial. They only had a small piece of cloth, a burda. If they pulled it over his head, his feet were exposed. And if they pulled it down to cover his feet, his head was exposed. The Prophet ﷺ told them to cover his head with the piece of cloth and to put lemongrass on his feet to cover them up. It's a profound ending. Mus'ab radiallahu anhu started his journey famous for his expensive perfume, for his expensive Yemeni clothing, and ended it covered by the grass of the earth. He gave up everything that the world had to offer for a mission that would outlast him by centuries. He was the one who opened Madinah, and without his gentleness and his sacrifice, the history of the world would look totally different today. May Allah be pleased with him.